Today, the world's top war crimes court issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant for what the court called crimes against humanity for intentionally depriving Gazans of food and directing attacks against civilians. Israel today called it an anti-Semitic attack on democracies trying to defend themselves from terrorism. Here's Nick Schifrin with more.
In the moonscape that is now northern Gaza, in the desperation of Gazan civilians, lacking the basic necessities of life, or what the International Criminal Court today called Israeli crimes against humanity for having, quote, intentionally and knowingly deprived the civilian population in Gaza of objects indispensable to their survival, including food, water, and medicine, and, quote, intentionally directing attacks against the civilian population of Gaza, as ICC prosecutor Karim Khan argued on the NewsHour in September.
Even war has rules, and yet we're seeing baby after baby destroyed. People in Gaza who want to have food and water, who want to stop waking up in terror as bombs land and the earth shakes and no place is safe, it seems, including schools.
Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called Khan a corrupt prosecutor and the ICC judges biased.
This is an anti-Semitic act that has one goal: to deter me, to deter us from exercising our natural right to defend ourselves against our enemies who rise up against us to destroy us, accusing the state of Israel of genocide while we are working to defend ourselves from an enemy who is trying to commit genocide against us.
The ICC accuses Netanyahu and Gallant of, quote, starvation as a method of warfare and impeding humanitarian aid with no justification.
When you put it all together, it's clear that Israel has chosen to fight Hamas, not just directly, not just by targeting fighters, but by squeezing Palestinian civilians.
Ken Roth is a Princeton professor and the former executive director of Human Rights Watch.
The court today, in affirming the arrest warrants, highlights, the starvation. The fact that children have died of malnutrition, the fact that people are having to have operations without anesthesia. This is because Israel has imposed one obstacle after another to the delivery of humanitarian aid.
Israel argues it does not restrict aid and has in the last year facilitated 39,000 trucks to enter Gaza with more than 840,000 tons of food. It also accuses the UN of failing to distribute enough aid and of Hamas and criminal gangs of stealing aid.
To accuse us of starving them is unbelievable. Those trucks are getting into Hamas hands, and they're the one who's depriving it from their people.
Ori Egoz is a lieutenant colonel in the Israeli reserves and a former Israeli military lawyer and judge.
We're keeping the humanitarian law, and it's actually quite an absurd to hear it from our point of view.
Today's arrest warrants also accuse Netanyahu and Gallant of failing to prevent or investigate, quote, intentional attacks on civilians.
The affirmation of the arrest warrants is appropriate recognition that the way the Israeli government has been fighting the war in Gaza has been by pursuing a war crime strategy.
They're doing the best they can do not to harm civilians. But again, this is war. To think that in a war you can be in a place that you don't harm civilians, it's impossible. You have to remember that Hamas is using intentionally human shields and putting his missiles and his targets inside schools.
The ICC also issued an arrest warrant today for the man who helped design that strategy, Mohammed Deif, even though Israel says it killed him months ago. As for Netanyahu and Gallant, the ICC's 124 member states are now obligated to arrest them, which means they hold the same international status as Russian President Vladimir Putin. Today's announcement could lead European countries to further slow weapons deliveries to Israel, but incoming National Security Advisor Mike Waltz suggested a, quote, strong response, suggesting the next Trump administration could reimpose sanctions on the court and Khan. And the White House today accused Khan of failing to engage with Israel constructively.
We fundamentally reject the court's decision to issue arrest warrants for senior Israel officials.
As for Israel, it vowed the arrest warrants would not stop the war in Gaza until Israel achieves all its goals. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Nick Schifrin.